Welcome back inside the Indiana Union Construction Industry Radio Studio. I'm Matt Taylor with J.J. Stangovitz, and it's our pleasure right now to be joined inside the studio with the newly named offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. Joining us is Jim Bob Cooter. Coach, welcome to Indianapolis. How are you?
Appreciate it. Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be here. Glad to be back.
You are back, right? We were just talking off the air before we hit the record button on this. The building and the hallways and the practice field and the indoor facility, it's the same, but I'm sure it looks a little bit different from the last time you were here.
Yeah, the foundation's the same, but been a lot of work done around here. I can tell, man. Things are different. There's different parts of the building are moved around.
Sure. So. All right. Well, let's get into it. What attracted you to come over to the Colts and accept this position with Shane Steichen and be the offensive coordinator here?
Yeah, great opportunity to work with Coach Steichen, somebody I really respect, and to get to work with these players who, there's a lot of players I'm excited to get to be around and get to coach and get to sort of work with and see what we can do here on offense. It was a really exciting opportunity in a lot of different ways, and one of those being able to get back to Indianapolis, a place I spent 3 years, and back to the Colts, and got a lot of great memories here, and hope to get this thing going the right direction.
Mm-hmm. What were your first impressions of Coach Steichen when you worked with him in 2021? You were a consultant with the Eagles,
yes.
Is that correct? And
yes.
Shane was then the offensive coordinator that year. So what was your relationship like that year, and what were your impressions of him?
Yeah, really intelligent, high energy, high integrity, high intelligence, like I said. Just locked in, loves football, was able to get there, be with those guys in Philly and kind of see how they were doing things, which was a little different than maybe I had done in the past in different areas, right? There were different tweaks they had put on things that were really interesting to me. So to get to watch those guys work, especially Coach Steichen, and get to learn from them and sort of, like I said, see how they work, see how they went about their business and how they ultimately had success doing it.
What about your experience? You mentioned seeing them do different things, but the people you've worked for, the people you've worked with over your time, now you get a chance to be an offensive coordinator again. What are you excited about bringing all those experiences and some of those concepts together to help Coach Steichen build out this offense?
Yeah, I think in this coaching profession, in this coaching life, you have your ups and downs, you have your good years and your bad years, but you tend to learn every year. You tend to learn quite a bit, and being able to learn from guys like Tom Moore, Clyde Christensen around here. There's Frank Reich. There's a bunch of names around here. Going to Brian Daboll, Nick Sirianni, Adam Gase, John Fox, Jim Caldwell several times, right? Just being around a ton of good coaches. Like Shane Steichen. I already said Nick Sirianni's name. And then last year, Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, those guys with the Jaguars. A lot of guys do things a little bit different. You're able to pick up notes, pick up tweaks, pick up things that can help you get your game better as a coach. And then also, like I said, as we go through this coaching career, you have your ups, you have your downs. How much do you learn from the bad years? How much do you learn from the tough times? That should make you a better coach moving forward, and I hope to do that.
That's offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, Jim Bob Cooter, is in the studio with us with J.J. Stangovitz. I'm Matt Taylor, and you just kind of talked about it a little bit, Coach. You've been in the NFL since 2009. You've worked with a lot of great players. You've been in some great offenses. You've worked with some great quarterbacks. With that said, how ever evolving is the profession of being an offensive coordinator, calling plays, and trying to be, as best you can, one or two steps ahead of all of these NFL defenses?
Yeah, it really is it's an evolving profession. It's a profession where innovation and creativity are at a premium. You have to do the little things well. You have to do what you're doing at a really high level. But as soon as you have success, you can't stay right there. You got to push forward the next week or the next year or the next into the playoffs. You have to push forward, improve, find new areas to attack the defense, and vice versa. They're doing that to us. But that's one thing I've definitely learned over the past several years. Like, just because you're having some success doesn't mean that you do have to push forward. You do have to be creative. You do have to look for different ways to do things.
All right. Well, I know you haven't been on the job for very long as we sit here and tape this right now, talking to you in studio. But when you look at the playbook, or maybe not the playbook, but when you look at the film and you look at the roster and the personnel that you have right now, Coach, what excites you about this offense and the players you have coming back?
Yeah, excited to get around the guys, man. Excited to get around this team. I was in the division last year. We played Indianapolis twice, sort of 1-1. From an outside perspective, this was a team that obviously, like all of us in the NFL, we had some ups and downs last year, but boy, they were writing a lot of games, and it was a team that was really close to winning a lot of games, and they played tough, they played hard. There's real talent on this offense that I'm excited to get to work with, really at every position. I think we got a chance to go out there, put a good offseason of work in, put some good work in as individuals and as a unit, to try to get this thing going the right direction and see if we can't have pretty good success in the fall.
Something that a couple of the guys who you've worked with or worked for have talked about, like Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, is that collaborative aspect of building out an offense, especially when it comes to situational football. When you look at what this staff can do and what you can do with Coach Steichen to kind of build out, this is our third down plan, this is our red zone plan, this is our run plan, this is our pass plan, let's marry them all together. What excites you about that opportunity?
Yeah, we've got a lot of really talented coaches and a lot of guys that have a diverse experience within the league. Could be different positions, could be different assignments, different areas of expertise. Excited to kind of get together and really meld those things and come up with the best plan. Obviously, Coach Steichen's had a ton of success doing a lot of those things, and situationally, I think several members of our staff have also. So to be able to sit down and in this league, you guys know it, the fans at home know it, we all know it. These games are all close, right? These are 3-point games, these are 4-point games, maybe a 6 or a 7-point game. These are one-score games, and it comes down to doing the little things right. A lot of times that is a third down. Did we make it? Did we not, right? Did we pick up the blitz because we had a good protection plan that week, or did we not quite get it done? Same thing with every situation, 2-minute, 4-minute. Gosh, there's so many games where it comes down to that 2-minute drive at the end, and that's details and that's preparation, and that's something we plan on doing at a really high level.
That's offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter in the radio studio with us. I'm Matt Taylor with J.J. Stangovitz. I want to double back. You talked about Jim Caldwell several times, right, working with him. Your first taste of the NFL was right here with the Colts 2009 to 2011 as an offensive assistant. What do you remember about those first days with the Colts, working with Peyton Manning the way that you did? And did you realize then that you were going to become – for lack of a better term, an NFL lifer back with the Colts again about a decade later?
Gosh, what a special experience. To get here in 2009, in the middle of an unbelievable run that this franchise was going on, to be around Peyton and Reggie and Joseph Adai and Dallas Clark, Jeff Saturday, all these guys, I can name them all. Get into this offense with Tom Moore, Clyde Christensen, Howard Mudd, all these guys. Was really cool experience for a young coach. Knew I wanted to coach, for a long time, and was just hoping somehow, some way I could find a way into the NFL, and somehow I found my way here, which couldn't have been a better fit. So Jim Caldwell, great coach, great leader, better man. Someone I respect as much as anybody in the business, and was great to work for. Really showed me the ropes, right? Showed us the ropes around here.
Yeah.
Got me headed the right direction as a young coach. Really showed me the way a little bit. But you guys know it, the fans at home know it. What a great run that was. And as a young coach, to come into that situation really sets you up for the potential to put together a pretty good career as a coach, because you're going to learn so much.
Yeah.
You sit in the back of a meeting room with Peyton Manning, and you start talking about protections, and you start talking about routes, you start talking about progressions and defensive coverages. You better learn a lot, and I think I did. I got good notes out of those situations that I think long term made me a better coach.
How much of that stuff do you still use?
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, I go back over. We in this business, every year we work a ton of hours. We stack notes. We might do things different one year than we did the year before.
Right.
I mean, I try to make it a point every year to spend some time going back through those older notes in an effort not to lose track of some of those things. Right. Let's not forget what a Howard Mudd taught me in protection. Let's not forget what Jim Caldwell might have said to the team, or what Clyde Christensen might have really liked about a certain wide receiver drill. because sometimes in this business, as you get down your path as a coach, you get so many years stacked up, you start to lose track of your origin, of your foundation, and that's something that I'm careful not to do.
I'm curious. I had a chance to talk to Austin Collie for a story I did where he and Shane were high school teammates, and something he said to me is that the drive that Shane has reminded him of Peyton Manning, just that singular, that focus, that energy that he brings every single day to football. You worked with Peyton. You see Shane now. Just that singular drive that they both have. What just stands out about that?
It starts with loving the game, loving football, which ultimately for us in our profession means loving what you do, right? You walk in the building every day and you love going in there. And, don't want to speak for Shane, but hey, as a head coach now, a ton of things come across your desk every day, right? You got to love that process, and he sure seems to. I've been around him as an offensive coordinator. Just every single detail he's on, every single thing that had to do with that previous job where I worked with him in the past, he was on it. He loved it. He was high energy going through it. It's just a different version for us coaches. It's the same thing that we see with the players, like you said, with Peyton Manning, guys like that. So the singular focus on the game of football is something that's definitely similar.
There's some stories, I know Frank Reich has told stories about how Peyton kind of, initiated him into being a young coach in this league. Did you ever have a moment with Peyton like that where you were with him here or with Denver?
Probably 100, probably 100. I can remember one point I was young here, maybe really early on. We're playing whoever, and you go, hey, this team never brought a corner blitz. They've never done it. And then the next morning, walk in, Peyton goes, all right, pull up last year Miami game, play 37. Never? Did you say never? So,
you sure about that?
So you learn to say I haven't seen one yet. You learn to kind of manage that, but sure did clean up the way I thought about saying some of those things, and it was good for me.
Yeah. What did it mean to your career that you got brought back to work with him in Denver that 1 year?
Yeah, it was excellent. It was excellent. Went to Kansas City for a year after leaving here, and then we got let go there, and to have an opportunity, as a young coach just looking for a job, and to have an opportunity to get back to Denver or to get to Denver with Peyton, kind of back with Peyton, and to be back in a similar offense and sort of help put that thing together with Adam Gase and Brian Callahan and a bunch of those guys. What a cool experience, and then we were pretty talented there too, and had a good year and won a bunch of games. So it was awesome.
All right, final couple of things with Jim Bob Cooter. He's our guest, the new offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. You just kind of talked about it. I want to double back to working with Shane Steichen. Now he's the head coach. Fans would not believe the amount of things and items and details that come across the desk of a head coach that have nothing to do with football, right? So now he's overseeing not only all of that in the offense, but the entire team, special teams. I mean, you know the drill, right? You know the whole gamut that the head coach has to deal with. How can you, as the offensive coordinator, because Shane's going to call the plays, how can you help him throughout the course of the game or throughout the course of the week really start to understand and implement the game plan that helps him call the plays in real time and not have to think too much?
Yeah, so I'll be there to work through a lot of that process offensively with him and for him. Some aspects we'll do together, and some aspects, it will be tasks that I'll do for him, or us as a coaching staff will do to really help him out because of those requirements. So it'll be a process. We're all in this together. This is about the team. This is about all of us working to put a good product out there on the field. But for Coach Steichen, to do what he needs to do offensively, our coaching staff, it starts with me. Our offensive coaching staff needs to do a great job of doing our job, fulfilling our task. If I coach a position, doing everything I can to get that position to play the best they can. For me, it's the whole offense. Now, obviously, Shane's calling it. Shane's in charge, but there's a lot of things that go on during the week that an offensive coordinator can sort of take off the plate of his head coach, right? And that's what I plan to do, and I plan to do it at a really high level.
All right, last one. We would be remiss if we didn't ask you about where you just came from, the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? The Jaguars passing game coordinator last year, and You work closely with Trevor Lawrence. He obviously took some steps forward, and they won the AFC South this past year, and the Colts are going to have to deal with him and that team, twice a year, every year now for the foreseeable future. Where did you see Trevor grow, and how much better did that offense become last year because of yourself and Doug Peterson?
Yeah, well, I'll take no credit. I mean, those guys. There's a lot of good people down there in Jacksonville. There's a lot of good players. There's a lot of good young players that are getting better. I know they're in the division now, but I'll talk them up for a second. There's a lot of good young players that are improving, getting better.
Right.
I think we took some strides last year, especially I would say around the middle of the season, where the Jaguars it was a fight and scratch and claw to win a game type of year, and then we started winning those games.
Yeah.
We hadn't been in the first half, and that's due to Trevor Lawrence. That's due to Christian Kirk. That's a ton of guys. Evan Ingram. There's a million names. These guys are really good players, and it's due to a great coaching staff. Right, Doug Peterson, Press Taylor.
Yeah.
All those guys are really high level, high character guys that are doing things the right way. So I had a great time working with those guys, great time learning from those guys, and hopefully helping them out a little bit. But now we get to turn our sights on beating them.
That's right, baby.
We want to. I got a T-shirt, AFC South champions 2022, and
there's a Goodwill around here where you can drop that off.
Like to get the 2023 version, but we're gonna have to put the work in. We're gonna have to go have a good year to try to see if we can't find a way to beat those guys.
I like it. We're fired up right there. That's offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter with us. He is back in the fold, second go around here with the Indianapolis Colts. Coach, good to meet you. Great to talk to you, and best of luck here in your first couple of days on the job.
All right, appreciate you guys. It was fun.